On a freezing winter afternoon in Washington, one routine flight would never make it home.
On January 13, 1982, a powerful winter storm gripped the nation's capital, setting the stage. At Washington National Airport, snowfall and freezing temperatures strained operations as aircraft lined up to depart.
One aircraft, Air Florida Flight 980, sat at the gate, waiting for conditions to improve.
Inside the terminal, passengers prepared for their journey, unaware of the events about to unfold.
74 passengers boarded the aircraft, trusting routine and experience. Inside the cabin, the flight felt ordinary, routine, familiar.
In the cockpit, preparations continued as delays mounted.
Flaps 15. Set flaps 15. Before takeoff checklist.
Complete.
As time passed, snow continued to collect on the aircraft's surfaces. Delays stretched on as aircraft waited in line for departure. In these final moments on the ground, nothing appeared out of the ordinary.
The flight crew arrived, experienced and qualified, prepared for what appeared to be a routine departure.
Captain Larry Wheaton had thousands of flight hours and experience in jet transport operations.
First Officer Roger Pettit brought military aviation experience into the cockpit.
Flaps set, altimeter checked, before takeoff checklist complete.
Inside the cabin, flight attendants completed final preparations.
Outside, conditions continued to deteriorate.
As minutes passed, pressure quietly increased. De-icing operations were prepared under active snowfall.
Airport operations worked to keep traffic moving in worsening conditions.
What followed next would prove critical to the fate of Flight 980. The left side of the aircraft was de-iced using a heated glycol solution.
As snow continued to fall, de-icing operations were finally set in motion.
Crucially, snowfall continued throughout the de-icing process. The right side received additional treatment, including an anti-ice coating.
The rains interrupted the de-icing operation, exposing the aircraft once again.
Critical engine sensors remained exposed to freezing conditions. Nearly 50 minutes would pass before the aircraft attempted to depart.
Inside the cockpit, the crew openly questioned the aircraft's condition.
Inside the cockpit, the crew openly questioned the aircraft's condition.
Snow and ice remained visible on the wings.
Despite lingering concerns, Flight 980 prepared to leave the gate.
The first attempt to push the aircraft back was unsuccessful.
Ice, snow, and glycol made the ramp nearly impassable.
Ready to go.
Inside the cockpit, an unconventional solution was discussed. Both engines were started while the aircraft remained at the gate.
Reverse thrust was used, blowing snow and moisture toward the aircraft.
Moisture was forced into the engine inlets, unseen by the crew. A visual inspection revealed nothing unusual.
With engines restarted, Flight 980 prepared to taxi into the storm.
After further effort, the aircraft was finally pushed back from the gate.
Flight 980 began taxiing through steadily worsening conditions.
Standard checklists were completed as the aircraft taxied.
Generators?
On.
Flight controls? Checked. Engine anti-ice was called during the checklist web and left off.
Flight 980 joined a growing line of aircraft awaiting departure.
Exhaust from aircraft ahead blasted snow back onto Flight 980.
Look at the leading edge. That doesn't look right. We cycled the boots, but it's still there.
The crew openly questioned whether the aircraft remained properly de-iced.
Even thin layers of snow can dramatically degrade lift. One by one, aircraft departed into the storm.
Takeoff settings were confirmed using cockpit instruments.
Checklist complete, Captain.
Confirmed.
Flight 980 was cleared into position, moments from departure. At 3:59 p.m., Flight 980 was cleared for takeoff.
The throttles were advanced, and the engines began to spool up.
Engine pressure ratio instruments appeared normal percent, but they were wrong.
Acceleration was noticeably slower than expected.
The first officer sensed that something was wrong.
Something isn't right.
The captain believed the readings were correct.
At V1, the decision to continue was locked in.
The aircraft rotated Krondund, strucking to lift.
The aircraft lifted off, but could not climb.
Snow and ice on the wings forced the nose upward, reducing lift even further.
To prevent an immediate stall, the captain forced the nose down.
Despite full effort, the aircraft began to sink.
We're going down, doll!
There's nothing I can do.
The crew knew they were going down.
Directly ahead lay the 14th Street Bridge, a deadly collision course.
The aircraft struck vehicles on the bridge.
The bridge barrier was torn apart. The aircraft disintegrated as it plunged toward the river.
At 4:01 p.m., Air Florida Flight 980 struck the icy Potomac River. In the seconds after impact, an eerie silence fell over the river.
Against impossible odds, a handful of passengers survived the impact. Hundreds of witnesses instantly became part of history.
Rescue units rushed toward the frozen river.
One by one, survivors were lifted from the freezing water. One survivor repeatedly gave up his place to save others.
The icy water quickly robbed the survivors of strength.
After more than 20 minutes in the water, the last survivor reached the shore.
The river grew quiet once more, holding the memory of those who did not survive.
As night fell, the mission shifted from rescue to recovery.
Every piece of wreckage would tell part of the story.
Investigators needed the aircraft's final words.
Every piece of wreckage would tell part of the story.
7 days later, the recorders were found.
The cockpit voice recorder revealed doubt, confusion, and missed warnings.
Ice blocked the engine pressure probes, feeding false data to the cockpit.
The delay erased the protection de-icing was meant to provide.
Experience, pressure, and assumption collided in the cockpit.
The cause was not a single failure, but a chain.
Aviation safety is written in lessons paid for with lives.
The tragedy triggered urgent changes across the aviation industry.
Cold weather operations would never be treated casually again.
Behind every statistic were lives, families, and futures lost.
The bridge carries on, but the memory remains.
Modern aviation reflects lessons written in tragedy.
Their names endure beyond the accident.
From loss came change, and from change, safer skies.
This was not just an accident, Roy. It was a lesson written in human lives.
Aviation is safer today because these lessons were learned. This documentary is dedicated to the memory of those lost.